900 2LM 104.3 FM. That is a great song from the 80s. That is The Police. And da-do-do-do-da-da-da. Yes, I know, the lyrics can't have been that hard to write. Now, nice segue into talking about writing. There is a book that's been written that is getting ready to be published. And it's about losing someone you love. That's something that all of us have had to put up with at some stage. But this is a fairly detailed story of losing someone you love through motor neurone disease. We spoke to Katrina Jeffrey a little while ago when there was a fundraising walk that was organised, and it was for motor neurone disease research. She has now put her talents to work in writing a book about the person that she loved and lost, and she's on the line to tell us more about it. Katrina, welcome back to the program.
Oh, thanks very much, Neil.
Now, this is a very, very personal story, isn't it?
It's an extremely personal story, and I've kind of bared my soul by really telling it like it is, to be faced with caring somebody in the midst of despair and being able to love them through what you're going through internally on your own journey.
Yeah, I obviously haven't read the book. It's getting ready to go to the editor as we speak. But I would assume that you also tell through your story the story of Chris, the sort of person that he was, then the sort of person that you lost through all of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. It does talk a lot about who Chris was and what happened to him as the disease progressed, as well as focusing on how I was trying to deal with coping with all of that happening to him, because you're just kind of watching it happen. You can't do anything about it, and you're just doing your best to provide them with some dignity and quality of life and comfort through to the end.
Yeah, and one would assume that as the disease takes hold, and it usually takes only, I guess, once you first get diagnosed, it certainly can happen fairly quickly after that. That you as you get used to one stage, you're already into the next stage of how this horrible, horrible disease works.
It was very much like that for us. Chris was gone 11 months after diagnosis. So we were just racing to keep up with the progression that just was happening so fast.
Yeah. How did Chris, if you don't mind me asking, how did Chris cope with the news and the diagnosis at that time? And what was his initial reaction to it and yours?
Because it took about 6 months of going through all kinds of doctors and specialists before we finally got a diagnosis, at first Chris was quite relieved to know exactly what it was, because we were certainly suspecting that it was motor neurone, and he was quite philosophical about it all at first, but it also was affecting his brain, and he became very withdrawn and found it very difficult to make any good complex decisions. So one of my biggest struggles and choices was, do I take that control from him and make what I think are good decisions on his behalf, or do I allow him to make what I feel are poor decisions, because it was going to take him anyway? And that was what I chose to do, was to give him the ability to have what control he could have, whether I felt that they were the right choices or not.
I guess you're talking about basically having power of attorney over somebody. Did you actually have to have that conversation while you could? We know where this is going to go. I need to have that ability to make these decisions, even though, through most of it, he still made his?
We did sign all of those legal documents very soon after diagnosis, but I never attempted to take the control from him. I decided that when it's terminal, the person's going to die anyway, so if I think that these are better choices, are they really going to make any difference if it takes what little control he has off him? And I think that's a very different situation to somebody who may be going to live with a disability for a long time, as compared to somebody who's going to be taken out anyway. And I was not going to spend the last months of his life arguing with him and taking that control off him.
Yeah. Did he, when it was diagnosed, did he have kind of a bucket list of things that he wanted to do while he still could?
Well, by the time he was diagnosed, there was already little that he could do. He wanted to live life as normally as possible, but he had already lost a lot of his speech, was having a lot of difficulty swallowing, and was losing control of his hands and arms. So he was already extremely limited, even by the time of diagnosis.
Mm. Now, what did it do? I mean, I guess if that's how it was for Chris. For you, in writing this book, what was the message you wanted to get out as a carer to other carers who may read it?
The real message is that the things that you are feeling are completely normal. You go through such a range of things that you're feeling, and that you really can put yourself aside without losing yourself and provide a high level of care with love, so that when the journey's over, you won't have all of these huge regrets. A lot of people afterwards have a lot of regrets, and I worked really hard on focusing on Chris, separating him from the disease, and being able to know why I did everything that I did. I chose every day to stay with Chris and go through that with him. I wasn't trapped in the situation, and therefore I feel that whilst I'm still grieving really heavily, that I was able to overcome for myself what went on in front of me and what happened to Chris.
Okay, well, I think it's a valuable message that you can get out, because unfortunately there are a lot of people in Australia in your situation, caring for somebody, knowing the sort of the end game, but probably struggling along with it. And I don't know how much help there is from the motor neurone disease organisations, but certainly to be able to sit down in those quiet moments and read somebody else's story, I'm sure would be very comforting to them. If or what you're at the stage now is, you've written the book, it's quite long. You need a professional to come and edit it and put it into some sort of order that makes sense to everyone else. So you've got a crowdfunding thing happening.
Yes, it's on Indiegogo.com. That's INDIEGOGO. And if anybody were to go there and search on overcoming a loss by 1,000 deaths, it'll come up pretty clearly.
Okay, and they can make a donation. How much money are you looking to raise to get it to the publishing stage?
I'm looking to raise $7,000.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of expenses behind running a campaign. So take fees, there's PayPal fees, and then of course for each book that I'm pre-selling, I have to pay for the printing of that book and then send it out. So the site's not really about donations. The site is about being able to buy a copy of the book or an ebook copy of things like mentoring sessions that people could have with me as a part of that.
Okay, well, they can check that website. Thank you very much for your time and telling your story this morning.
If I may just say one more quick thing, Neil, if there are any local editors in the area, maybe a retired editor who's got a lot of experience, who would like to offer some kind of a help with any kind of a reduced fee or a pre-look over the book or something, that would be an even more invaluable offer than people giving money.
Yeah, okay, and they can get in touch with you on that website, or is there a number they can call you on?
Yes, my number is 0402 009 884. But on that website, there is a link to be able to contact me online as well.
Okay. Thank you again for telling your story. Hopefully you get a call from somebody shortly and we can all get to read that wonderful story sometime in the not-too-distant future. Katrina, thank you very much.
Thanks.
It's Katrina Jeffrey, and the book she has written about dealing and having to live through that process of somebody that you love dying with motor neurone disease. As I said before, it's one of the most horrible diseases that I can actually imagine. It's 21 past 8, 900 2 104.3 FM.